Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Hey, Will.
Hey, bud.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Braxton Rarudo.
Draw. There goes Braxton.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Brooks Austin, the film guy. He'll be with us in 15 minutes from right now. Excited about that conversation. He did his film breakdown on YouTube late last week. They dropped it late last week of Sam Levitt. You're going to want to check it out. We'll talk about it with Brooks here in about 13 minutes from right now. Tigers had a scrimmage Saturday in Tiger Stadium. It was not open to the media. That was a big change. In spring, Lane let us watch scrimmages, which was awesome. I did, however, so I was not in Tiger Stadium. I did Saturday night and into Sunday have a conversation with a handful of people who were there and try to gather together as many notes as I can for you, which we'll go through here in just a second. But I think it's important to remember, like, how many people are at these things, right? Not only do you have all the players and the coaches and the support staff, but a lot of times family members are present, scouts from NFL teams, agents, sometimes boosters are invited. You have support staff, medical staff, you have administrators. I mean, you got so many people that actually get to go watch these things. You might be surprised how relatively easy it is to find people who attend who can maybe give you a few tidbits. I think the important thing is making sure you compare notes, make sure that everything kind of matches up. A few things that I was able to learn, I'll tell you about in a second, but Lane Kiffin opened his press conference here on Monday, was asked takeaways from that scrimmage on Saturday. Here's what Lane had to say.
Yeah, I thought the first defense played extremely well. Gave the offense a lot of pressure and really good in coverage. So that was great to see. Obviously, anytime in scrimmages, both sides are never going to look really good. And so first offense struggled for a while, then came back and played well later, which is what we hoped for. But there's a lot of good things to evaluate. We played for a long time, I think 170 total plays. So that was really good to see, to get a lot of information on our guys, and half of it being tackling helped us on some evals too.
Okay. When we watched in the spring, there was one scrimmage in particular where the offense ran 10 series and they had 5 interceptions, a lost fumble, and a missed field goal. Lane Kiffin, after that scrimmage, called it, quote, discouraging. And you might remember he said if we needed to play a game today, we would be a defensive team. My hope continues to be, you get your quarterback and Sam Levitt, and the offense should be better. And also, I have a lot of faith and trust that Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss, it's just going to work, because it always does. It always has. Wherever he's been, whoever the quarterback is, roster turnover, first year, 6th year, doesn't matter. Kiffin's offenses always move the ball and score. I was not surprised in the spring that the defense dominated. You retained staff. You had a lot of your starters back. You added some really key pieces, Uman Mielen, Jordan Ross, Benefield, etc. And the offense, again, with a totally new offensive line, without your starting quarterback, really struggled in the spring in those scrimmages. So the fact that the offense had some success against what I think is going to be a really good defense was encouraging. And the fact that the defense really pressured Sam Levitt, I thought was a great sign as well. Remember, Blake Baker's defense did give Lane Kiffin's offenses some trouble. Now, Trinidad Chambliss played Houdini a lot this past year, but they limited them as far as points on the board, which is ultimately the name of the game. I was told Sam Levitt scrambled a bunch, and that's a great sign to see because Sam Levitt's ability to run is going to be a huge component in this offense, and apparently they saw that a lot on Saturday. Not just design runs, but when plays were breaking down, him taking off and running. One other thing I was told is that when the twos went out there, the offense has dominated the defense. And that does concern me because it effectively validates what we were talking about with Blake Baker and the depth on this defense. Because for all the people who continue to say, well, who has great depth anymore? Well, I think LSU has great depth on offense. Like, I believe that. Husan Longstreet was a 5-star. He's your second quarterback. You can run through all the depth they have among the dozen receivers that they have. I mean, Caden Durham might be your fourth running back on this team. He was a freshman All-SEC a couple of years ago. You can go through the offensive line, and you can look at a guy like Sean Tompkins, who seemingly is your swing tackle. He was the starting left tackle at Baylor the last 2 years. So you do have good depth on offense. You don't have experienced depth on defense, and I think that's showed up. A few other notes that are relevant. The two freshmen did start at defensive tackle. It was Anderson and Geralds that started at defensive tackle. And I do believe that if LSU is playing Clemson today, when they run out for the first defensive snap, that those two true freshmen are going to play defensive tackle with the ones. Lamar Brown also rotated in with the ones, I was told, and they were trying to get a lot of equal reps there. So it's not a surprise at this point, those guys are going to play. Jace Thomas did start as well with the ones at safety opposite Ty Benefield, although I was told Tamarcus Cooley rotated in as well. So both those guys played, but it was Jace Thomas. And for all the conversation we've had, Blake Baker said he's been so impressed with Jace Thomas, it's maybe made the biggest leap. And I think they're giving him that opportunity right now to be the starter opposite Ty Benefield. Offensively, some of the positions that are interesting, we know 4 of the 5 first offensive linemen are set, right? From left to right, it's Seaton and Bordelon, Braylon Moore, and then Aluba. That's 4 of your 5 starters. The question has been, can Weston Davis hold off everybody at right tackle? And they've rotated a lot of bodies there. Weston Davis did run with the ones at right tackle, but what seems like has happened now is Sean Tompkins is the swing tackle, the Baylor transfer. Remember, Sean Tompkins was going to be the starting left tackle. And then Jordan Seaton went in the portal, and LSU went full court press to get Seaton, and that sort of relegated Tompkins to a backup role. But I think Tompkins right now is the guy that's the next up at either tackle spot. So God forbid, but if something happened to Seaton or Davis, Tompkins would be the next guy up at right tackle. So if you had to just look at the second offensive line left to right, Tompkins would be your left tackle. Sprinkle would be your left guard, the NC Central transfer. I think Ryan Moret, the freshman, has probably beaten out William Satterwhite and would be your second center. Devin Harper would be your second right guard. And then Darren Stray, the transfer from Kentucky, would be your second right tackle if you're just looking at a wholesale unit change. But again, I think Tompkins would be a swing tackle there. I mentioned it a bit ago, but people keep raving about Stacey Gage and the progress that he's made. That's the UCF transfer at running back. So we know Harlem Berry and Dylan Jones Berry, 1-2. Caden Durham has been around now in his third season, but Stacey Gage seemingly is really pressing right there as well. So I was also told Harlem Berry, and Lane talked about Harlem Berry ripped off a long touchdown run in the scrimmage, and was the first score for the offense, and he apparently missed the ceremonial dunk on the sideline. With the basketball hoop on the sideline. That's something that Lane's bringing over from Ole Miss. So a few other little tidbits. Trades, Winnie Watkins, Jace Brown, they were all in gold no contact jerseys. Although today, Watkins and Brown were in their white. On Monday, were in their white offensive jerseys. So that was good to see that they're seemingly making that progress as they move forward. So a few tidbits from the scrimmage on Saturday out at Tiger Stadium, and it was a long workout, as you heard Lane say, 170 plays. So a day to get to rest and get treatment on Sunday. They were back on the practice field today on Monday, and they'll be back at it again on Tuesday evening. And as much access as we have, we'll tell you what we see. And if we don't get access, I'll poke and prod, nod and needle, and see whatever I can find, and we'll share with you here on AFR. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We are brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Locations all over South Louisiana. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they keep coming back because they treat you like family. So if you have need for new tires, you want the best tires at the cheapest price, go to Shaw Bills. And if you need anything like your tires rotated or an alignment, or if your brakes are squeaking or you need your oil change or you need new windshield wipers, go to Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Locations all over South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills. We keep you rolling. Okay. Saints played the Jags Saturday in the first preseason game. I'll give you my takeaways in 18 minutes. If you missed it, former St. John Stinchcomb was on the call. He was with us in hour one. You can catch that on demand, AFR On Demand, presented by Brett Golf. When we come back, though, we're going to talk Sam Levitt with Brooks Austin, the film guy. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you're thinking of a pool, I've got an even better reason now to check out DuplessisPools.com. DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. So they have the Pick Your Pool tab right there on the homepage of the website. Well, they've upgraded it. Now they have 3D modeling. So there's 11 different designs. DuplessisPools.com, just pick one of them. As you start to choose your finishes and features, it's going to build the pool for you. You want lights, tiling, coping, water wall, whatever it is, as you pick those features, you're going to see it build out on the 3D model. It's incredible. And the price will adjust as well as you see it. Look, you can drop a credit card in. If you do that, by the way, for a down payment, awesome. They'll shoot you a contract right there. You're already in the queue to let the shovels hit the dirt. It's DuplessisPools.com. Named the top 50 pool builder in America 2 years in a row, Duplessis Pools. Check them out online, DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. Proform Steel, ProformLA.com. ProformLA.com. If you need a metal building, you want Proform Steel. It's that easy. No matter if it's a shed in your backyard or a big commercial type building, you want Proform Steel. They're right there on Airline Highway in Gonzales. If you want to go by their showroom and their office, you can certainly do that. Remember, all of their materials, everything, made in the USA. They only use American-made materials. That's one awesome reason to do business with Proform Steel. Brandon Golson, also on the state licensing board. So you know you're dealing with an ethical business owner as well. ProformLA.com. And you want a quote? Go to the website, hit request a quote. Someone will call you the same day with that number, and free delivery on everything. No exceptions. You buy a metal building from Proform Steel, they will deliver it for free. ProformLA.com.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
Glad to have you rolling along with us here on a Monday edition of AFR. We are presented by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Brooks Austin set to join us here in just a quick minute. We're trying to connect with him. Hopefully we'll be able to do this on video. And if not, we'll just give him a shout on phone. I do want to get also to my Saints Jaguars takeaways from Saturday afternoon's game. And we had John Stinchcomb in hour number one. I'm telling you, the thing that for me was most interesting, and I was really excited to watch the receivers in the Saints preseason game on Saturday. But I ended up probably being more impressed with some of the defensive depth. Came away with a couple interceptions. Michael Heldman had 2 sacks. That's a guy that Ross Jackson has talked about with us here in almost every one of those practice reports, which has been incredible to see. But the question is, like, do you have a spot for some of these guys? Like Bub Means stood out. Do you have a spot for a 6th receiver? These are the things that are going to be really interesting to watch. So We'll see. Okay, I don't know. Are you not getting him on phone? Okay. We're supposed to be joined by Brooks. I don't know what's up. So let me just instead sort of pivot. Or you have him? Okay, good. Never mind. We do have him. That's great. All right. Let me know when we have the thumbs up there, fellas, and we'll roll. It's after further review. While we connect with Brooks, I'll remind you about Parish Restoration and parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens. It's Parish Restoration and parishrestoration.com. It's not just mold. Yes, they do mold. We live in the mold capital of the world, y'all. It's wet and it's humid. It's a breeding ground for mold. So have mold or think you might. Call Jim Woodworth and the gang over at Parish Restoration. You can always hop over to the website, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. But remember, it's also odor. You have odor from pets, from smoke, whatever it may be, sweat. Maybe you own a gym, a workout facility. You have all that sweat odor. You want to knock that out? Parish Restoration can do it. Parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. Okay. So we're trying to connect with Brooks. My apologies. Live radio and media. Sometimes, as they say, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. So are we okay? We got him. Can you hear him? Okay, great. All right,
you
there
got
we go.
me?
Brooks, what up, man? Dude, sometimes the heavy lift shouldn't be the heaviest, but it was. We appreciate you for making it work, dude. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Sorry about that.
No, you're
Technology is difficult. Technology is difficult, but we're here. We're here. I'm ready to be with you, Matt. What you got for me today?
All right. So you drop the much anticipated Sam Levitt video late last week. Going in, what was your biggest preconceived notion about Levitt that you were looking to maybe either confirm or disconfirm?
Yeah, so I'd obviously watched him during his time at Arizona State, even prior to his arrival at LSU. And I always thought of him as a frantic playmaker, Matt. I think you and I even talked about that during our time out at SEC Media Days, just getting this guy to kind of play within the system. And there was still some of that tape that we watched from Arizona State, just like, hey, it's there, take it now, instead of trying to be a superhero at times. But I think the thing that I left most impressed with is just his willingness to play football. You know, like some of these quarterbacks just want to be quarterbacks. And some of these quarterbacks are football players who happen to play quarterback. I think he's the latter. And I enjoy those guys. Those are the guys that I like to root for. I like to watch. I don't like these guys that are just, you know, I'm a quarterback. You know, I like football players first. And I think that last clip that we left in that film study, it's the last play of the game for them offensively. I think that epitomizes what I'm talking about, right? They're in a short yardage situation down in the goal line. Raleigh Brown gets a handoff, gets absolutely stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And then you see Sam Levitt dive in like he's a firefighter running into the smoke, like he is ready to go and drive that guy into the end zone. So to me, man, that epitomizes what I'm talking about. I like football players, and this guy is a football player on top of the fact he's an elite playmaker. I think that's the thing you guys are going to learn about him. He's going to be fun to watch now. There's going to be some moments where you hold your breath, but there's some other moments where the crowd's going to explode because he's going to do something nobody else can really do. Brooks, you have a comp for Levitt, size, style, any of that sort of stuff? Oh, no, I mean, like, so he's not this. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's not Trinidad Chambliss, but that is the mold. Moving forward, I think you and I talked about this at SEC Media Days. That's going to be the mold moving forward. I think the mold for them is going to be twitchy, athletic, efficient football players. When I say efficiency, I'm talking about mechanics, like get the ball in and out right now. No big elongated motions. We want quick, fast twitch, athleticism at the position. And that's what he is. And I think that's what they will continue to recruit and continue to develop at the position. If you look at their room now, it's exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's Sam Levitt. It's Landon Clark, the kid from Elon, who can't be but 6 foot, maybe. Really good athlete, twitchy in his mechanics. And then you look at Hassan Longstreet, same thing, about 6 foot, about 200 pounds, could probably run sub 4.5. And then you look at Pop Houston out of Texas or Louisiana, same thing, same football players. Like I think this is the mold moving forward for this offensive brainstem. The more and more I talk to them, and the more and more I study what they're doing. What do you think about? A lot's been made of Longstreet's throw in motion. What do you think about Levitt's mechanics as you watch him? Yeah, efficiency, right? Like I don't see a lot of wasted movements in that. It's pretty in and out. I think we had him sub 0.45 seconds in release time. And it's
what's
something
average?
that I care about.
What's average?
Oh, and so NFL average is anything sub 5.5.
Okay.
Normally, that's what we shoot for. Anything over than that is labeled an elongated motion. He doesn't have any of that. He's in and out pretty damn quickly.
Okay. Make sure you subscribe the Film Guy Network on YouTube. The film study breakdown of Sam Levitt. The video is about 24 minutes. Totally worth your watch. Make sure you check it out. He's on Twitter as well, at Brooks Austin BA. When you look at Levitt, one of the things, Brooks, I know you diagram some of this, or broke down some of this. One of the things you and I have talked about, and everyone does, it's like you got to purge the bad plays. Well, like, how many, or where do you see the turnover? Because the turnover numbers aren't terrible, but when you watch the turnovers, some of them, they look terrible. So
yeah,
what do you think? I guess the way I'm trying to ask the question is like, what is fixable when you look at the way he plays, and can you really purge some of those mistakes out?
Yeah, I mean, we could just teach him and learn him to the fact that, like, hey, you don't have to do all this stuff. Like, you don't have to do all this. You don't have to go out of your way to make plays. We got guys around you that can make plays. And look, I don't want to act like it was all like bare bones out there at Arizona State, right? Like they had a first-round wide receiver, they had a first-round offensive tackle, they had $1 million player at the running back position. Like, it wasn't terrible, but the other 8 players around him at LSU are going to be considerably better than that at Arizona State. So I think that comes from reps of understanding what you are and what you have around you. We talk a lot on our channel about scar tissue, right? Like bad habits being created through previous issues that have been like happened to us, right? Like that stuff, when we don't have bad things consistently happen to us, maybe we don't have this scar tissue as a quarterback. And we talk about that a lot at the position because it creates bad habits that are not created by your own mistakes, right? Like you're flushing out of pockets left and right. Well, coach, I ain't had a clean pocket in 3 weeks. Hey, you're turning down reads. Well, coach, I've been turning down reads because guys been dropping footballs, or you know what I'm saying? Like these types of things, these bad habits that are created through scar tissues of things that aren't by our own making. So I think a lot of that is going to be worked out of him. And I'll tell you, Matt, I know you got sources in that building, as do probably far more than I do, but I've heard tremendous things out of LSU people about this kid. They think he's going to be electric. They think he is everything that they signed up for out of the portal. So I'm excited to watch it, man. Like I'm excited. You know how I am about offensive football. You know how I am about points and studying film. I'm excited to see what the heck they do with the kid because it sounds like they feel like they hit a home run for sure.
Talk to me about Sam Levitt, the runner, either design runs or like I know one of the ones you highlighted is where it looked like there was maybe you backed up to the goal line. There was like a pass. It might have been there in the flat, but he took off and ran up the middle for about like 20 yards. Design run versus scramble. What are we looking at with Levitt? Yeah,
so he's not a massive human, okay? I think we all know that, and we already have a little bit of injury prior. So I wouldn't be out here design running him 10 to 12 times a game. But some of the massive explosives that he does create in the passing game in particularly are from him extending plays with his legs. But the most important thing is that is the last exit strategy, right? Like we work within the system first and foremost. We go through the answers that coach has provided, and then we let our God-given traits take over, right? It can't be eyes down, let's go now all the time, right? Especially not in this conference, especially with the fact that if we do that all the time, we're going to expose ourselves to more and more hits, or ultimately going to expose ourselves to more potential injuries. So the design running aspect of him, I would use particularly in the red area, right? When we get down there, the field gets tight, the boxes get heavy. I would start using the quarterback's legs a lot more in that area. Short yardage situation, perhaps, stuff like that. But I felt like Trinidad was far more of a traditional, I can carry the load workload guy, like running back style run. Whereas this guy, I want to utilize his athleticism and let the explosives with his legs come as a way out of bad problems, right? I want him to make us right when everybody else is wrong. I don't want to lean on him being the answer with his legs because I don't want to get him hurt. B, I think we're good, right? Like the other thing that I've heard out of camp so far is they feel like they hit on this Wisconsin running back. I don't know his name. The
Dylan Jones.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Dylan Jones.
Yeah, they feel like he's going to be an above average SEC guy, and they feel like he's going to be able to run the ball. So I don't need him to be a design quarterback run guy. Does that make sense? I just need him to threaten defenses and make them honest, right? Like if that defensive end on the backside wants to dive in on run plays, no, he cannot. We're going to pull the football and we're going to run and slide and get ourselves protected for 8 or 9 yards. And then the next time we have a mesh point, that defensive end is going to be standing there flat-footed going, I can't dive in on the run. That's the most important thing. I don't need him to go out there and run for 120 yards. I need his threat of his legs to keep people honest. So my run game, my traditional running back run game, can run for north of 180. That's the answer to sustained success in the run game in this conference nowadays.
Yeah, that's certainly what they lacked a year ago. It's just not as great as he was when he was healthy. Just never a threat to run. Hey, before you go, last thing. Time very much appreciated. Brooks Austin's with us at Brooks Austin BA. Give him a follow on Twitter and make sure you go subscribe to the Film Guy Network on YouTube. The Sam Levitt film breakdown is up right now. The Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss advantage. What does that mean for Sam Levitt?
Well, it means he's going to have a lot of the answers in his head. All right. There is not a defensive structure that those guys don't know how to attack, that they don't know how to give their quarterbacks the answers to the question. And that's you're gonna see a lot more defenses try to disguise coverages and disguise fronts against you guys because of what I'm talking about. I think we talked about this at SEC Media Days. I'll never forget listening to Nick Saban and Kirby Smart talk about Lane Kiffin's whistle. Right, used to before helmet comms, the Lane would stand over there near the sticks and he'd whistle at his quarterback, and then the whole offense would look over there all deer-eyed and be like, "Oh, what's the new play?" And then he'd give them the new play. They'd signal in a new play, and then they got him. They got the defense right where they want it. Well, now there's no whistle. He just pulls down that little headset and tells the quarterback where the answer is, and then the defense gets gutted. It was so funny to me. I was watching film last year preparing for Ole Miss, and I'm watching them versus Washington State. And I'm like, surely Washington State's not really out here trying to play man-to-man coverage. Like, it's Washington State. What are you doing? And then I realized, every time they try to play zone coverage, the dude finds a soft spot and there's a 9-yard reception, and then they just walk the ball down the field. The only way to actually get a defender at the catch point against this offense is to dare to play man-to-man coverage, which makes the answer offensively become, all right, well, we're just going to play man-on-man football. All right, well, we got pretty good dudes down here now. It's part of the reason why I went over there, honestly, right? They're always going to have great football players. Not that Ole Miss didn't, but I think the stats are the stats lately. Like, he signed more 5-star football players in the first 7 months than he did in 6 years at Ole Miss. Like, that is a reality right now. So, no, there are no defensive structures that you can play against this guy where he doesn't know how to give his quarterback the answer. So it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Just trust the magic voice in your head, buddy. He's probably right. Let's just play with that one.
He is Brooks Austin, the Film Guy Network on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel. Follow him on Twitter at Brooks Austin BA. Great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Thank you.
No, guys. Y'all be good.
All right, man. We'll do it again soon. It's after further review. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Quick break. I want to get to my Saints Jags takeaway. We'll do it. Stick around here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Thinking of buying or selling a home? Call Darren James. Get your home sold. 335-7666. 335-7666. 335-7666. That's Darren's cell, by the way. I'll give it to you one more time. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Agent225.com. Hey, look, when you work with Darren James, remember, it obligates you to nothing. If at any point you're not thrilled with the level of customer service, fire him. Let you out of the contract free and clear. But in all the years, the decades of Darren's career, no one's ever taken him up on it. How about this beautiful property? My goodness, right here in Maurepas on the Diversion Canal. Absolutely gorgeous property. You want to check out the photos of it, you could do so on Darren's Facebook or at agent225.com. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. So whether it's here locally, if it's anywhere in the greater Baton Rouge area, you need to sell your home, you need Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here on a Monday edition of AFR. We always appreciate Brandon and Adrian Holly, awesome folks. And they were one of the sponsors of the Capital Gala Best Dress this weekend, benefiting the Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Institute. So generous as always, involved in the community, and we love being partnered with Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters too. And shades. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Saints had their first preseason action. They lose to the Jags on Saturday there in the Dome. Saints, look, it couldn't have started any better. 86-yard kickoff return to open the game. The Saints scored then on their first offensive snap to go up 7-0. And it looked like the Saints might be able to hold on, but Jacksonville scored late. Ultimately, they'd win it 24-20, but there was a lot to like. Certainly, Zach Wilson was fantastic. The 2-minute drill before the end of the first half. You had some standout players and performances that I want to delve into with some of the guys who I think really helped themselves in Saturday's game against Jacksonville. But here was Kellen Moore first. We'll start with the quarterbacks. This is number 5, we could, Braxton. This is Kellen Moore talking about Zach Wilson, how much he's improved so far since he's gotten to New Orleans.
I think that was great for Zach. Zach's a really talented quarterback. I think he's a really, really good football player. I've enjoyed seeing him just grow through the whole offseason program from OTAs to training camp to now. I think he's, Zach's still, 26, might have just turned 27, if I remember right. He's still got tons of growing to do. And, I think he's done a great job of applying himself this year in the system. And so proud of what he was able to do out there on the field.
It is very much worth mentioning. None of the starters for either team played. So sometimes overreacting to a preseason game is a fool's errand. It is, however, another data point. It's something to look at, to point you to consider as you build this book or this mountain of evidence of how you're going to make a decision. Now, you've had a whole bunch of practices, and through all the practices, look, Ross Jackson comes on here every time the Saints practice and have media availability and give us a practice report. And it has been abundantly clear that Rattler has been the guy. Well, then they go play a game on Saturday, and Rattler ends up 8 of 11 for 42 yards, while Wilson is 11 of 16 for $145 and a score with a passer rating of 118. That's one metric. You want to look at Pro Football Focus, which is something we talk about often? Well, Zach Wilson was awesome, graded out over an 80, while Spencer Rattler graded out in the 40s. Again, talk about it often. It's a metric. It's not the metric. It's something to consider when we talk about Pro Football Focus grades. But it's a data point that shouldn't be altogether ignored. Outside of Wilson, who was really good, the other guy that has to be the headliner we talk about is Mike Heldman. And Kellen Moore talked about Mike Heldman. I'm going to play 6. Heldman is the guy from Central Michigan. He's been on the show after the Saints signed him as a UDFA. And he's a guy that continues to pop in camp. The problem for Heldman has been he plays a position there as a defensive end that is just crowded, where you have Chase Young and Carl Granderson, and you re-sign Cam Jordan, and you just, you have Anthony Jennings there. Do you have enough roster spots to retain him? This was Kellen Moore about Heldman.
I think Mike's just a steady player, and he just continues to play the right play style. And when you just keep playing the right way, keep battling, good things are going to happen for you.
And they have all throughout camp. That's one of those guys that you hope. I put it to you this way: every year when we talk about the final 53, it's never the final 53. It's the first 53. Because you sign your 53-man roster like all the other 32 teams do, and then the next day, when you see who else is available, you end up waiving guys or cutting guys and signing guys that other teams let go, or whatever the case may be, or you hold on to your UDFA to see how everything else shakes, and then maybe the next day you cut him and sign him to your practice squad, however it may go. But ultimately, you look at Heldman, and he's one of those guys who the Saints may look and say, look, we can't risk letting this, cutting this guy and letting someone sign him to their 53 the next day, and so you lose him. So maybe this is a guy who they find a way to keep, and it's an up-down situation, practice squad, sign to the active roster, or however they have to do it 15 times throughout the season just to protect him. But he's one that clearly is showing up in a way at a position that's a valuable position, and he's shown he can play, at least so far through camp and at this level. Really wanted to see all the receivers, but it ended up being Bub Means who really was the standout. And in part, maybe he was the standout because he got to be partnered and paired with Zach Wilson. And we've talked about that pairing. Actually, I was texting with Ross during the game, and a lot of you were messaging me, man, Ross looked like a prophet talking about Wilson and Bub Means. 4 catches, 77 yards. Darn near had 2 touchdowns in the game as well. But Bub Means carried it over from the practice field to the game as a former draft pick for the New Orleans Saints. You just wonder, is there space? Because you've got Chris Olave, and you've got Devon Vele, and then you've got the 3 draft picks from this year. That's 5. Are you keeping a 6th receiver? Generally, if you keep a 6th receiver, it's someone like, remember back in the day, Courtney Roby, who was your gunner on special teams and return kickoffs. Well, he was a receiver, but really he made the team as a specialist. Bub Means isn't going to make this team as a specialist. So do you have value for a guy like Bub Means as a 6th receiver? Probably not. But then is Barrion Brown making the team as a receiver or as a specialist? Well, he's really stood out this year as a receiver and as a specialist. So that's certainly going to be one worth keeping an eye on. And then you look at the cornerbacks, man. Jaden Price and Martin Emerson were both really good in this ball game. Here was, this is number 9. This was Kellen Moore talking about Emerson in the ball game.
Oh, I've noticed this last week, I think. And I think that's a fair evaluation for sure. He's been coming together all of training camp. He's coming off a year where he wasn't able to play and coming off of a season-ending injury. And to see his growth, I think this last week he's been awesome, from team periods to joint practice to the preseason game. Just proud of his growth.
Emerson's a guy who SEC fans probably remember. He's from Pensacola, where he played at Pine Forest, but then went to Mississippi State. And was a 3rd-round pick coming out of Mississippi State. Was with the 68th overall pick, went to the Cleveland Browns, and just was injured last year. And so he suffered the Achilles tear in training camp last year, missed last season, and then signed a 1-year deal with the Saints. And he's playing like a guy who has a lot of experience. Over 3 NFL seasons, he's played in 50 games with 33 starts. And we talked about him when the Saints signed him. But he's one of those guys where you take the low-risk, high-reward swing on a guy like Emerson, where that was the big position group that I had as a concern coming out of the draft when they didn't go address it in draft or free agency. And you let Alontae Taylor walk. Is this a guy in Emerson who might actually be a starter that helps upgrade and elevate that position? It was encouraging to see that performance Saturday. Again, I don't want to overreact to a preseason game, but seeing Price and Emerson play well in that defensive backfield gives you a little bit of hope that you've got some really good depth. I still think they lack the top-tier corner because I don't think that's Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I don't think they have that guy on the roster. So when you go roll up on a JSN or a Jamar Chase or a Puka Nacua, you don't have anybody that can handle that guy. Where you're like it used to be with Lattimore, where you'd say, hey, 23, get on that side of the field and just lock down that guy. You don't have him. But what you might be building there at cornerback is really good depth, and that's encouraging to see. Saints have joint practices with all 3 of their preseason opponents. This week they're out in L.A. against the Rams. Then they play the Cowboys in the 3rd preseason game. So the Saints are going to have a lot of work in joint practices in addition to the 3 preseason games. And over the next 2 weeks, they're going to iron out a lot of these battles. But a handful of guys I thought really made a statement and an impact. The one other thing, obviously, is place kicker. And Charlie Smith missed a field goal, and I get it was from 52, but in the NFL, that's got to feel automatic. And right now for Charlie Smith, it doesn't feel automatic. He missed his 1 field goal attempt. Tanner Brown made both of his. And for the first time in camp, it kind of feels like maybe Tanner Brown is nosed or edged ahead of Charlie Smith. So another one worth watching as the Saints move here into week 2 of the preseason. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com, WilliamsonEye.com. Was out at LSU football practice today, and before practice, I was talking to my buddy Michael, who's photographer for the Advocate. And he was telling me I remember this, when we were there at LSU in Tiger Stadium for the Lane Kiffin press conference. I was doing my show there that day, and he walked over, and we were chatting. He reminded me that he had Evo ICL last fall, like in September. And he said it's incredible. Like, he's seeing better than 2020. He wasn't a candidate for LASIK, so this was an alternative where they actually implant the contact lens into your eye, and it works like LASIK in that you just wake up and you can see. You never have to fool with contact lens ever again. It is a totally reversible procedure as well. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020. Just go for that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. Okay, it is after further review. Lane Kiffin met with reporters today after practice. I want to dive into a little bit more of what Lane had to say. We'll do that in about 15 minutes from right now. When we come back, though, we'll do Tigers and the Pros. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
You know, I love telling you about Clegg's Nursery because at Clegg's, they've got an amazing selection. Full greenhouses of flowers and plants and trees and shrubs and all that stuff. We're getting close to fall. I know it's still a bajillion degrees outside, but a sure sign that fall is around the corner is when you roll up into Clegg's and they've got buckbusters and mobucks and deer corn, and they got it right now over at Clegg's Nursery. All 4 locations: Seagoneer Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. It's been a couple of weeks now since they've had buckbusters, but just here in the past few days, they got mobucks in as well. So if you're going to put those plots out, you want to bag that trophy buck this deer season, it starts at Clegg's Nursery. They got buckbusters and they got mobucks right now at Clegg's Nursery. So get by any of the 4 locations: Seagoneer Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery. Brought to you by Amigo Owls, of course, from Brandon and Mackenzie Landry, the same team that brought you Supper Club, and we get to talk about so much. But on Mondays, Supper Club is closed, so this is a great opportunity to try Amigo Owls if you have not done so yet. They're on Highway 30 in St. Gabriel, so just south of U Club. So if you're leaving LSU, you're going south on Highway 30, you pass U Club, about a quarter mile on the left, you can't miss it. You'll see the yellow truck right there. Parents, maybe you're moving your kiddos into LSU this weekend, and long day on campus, filling up the dorm or the apartment or the condo, and go treat yourself. Just some amazing gourmet Mexican, great, healthy, fresh ingredients, higher quality ingredients, even with the margs as well. Their skinny marg, I'm telling you, might be the most delicious margarita I've had. It's not the same sugar water and bad tequila. Everything is better ingredients. It's at Amigo Owls. And they got the third-party apps, so DoorDash, Uber Eats, check them out. It's Amigo Owls.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Well, this is a gigantic bummer, man. Jamal Adams, his 2026 season is over before it started. Saturday, the Vikings beat the Giants in a preseason game 13-10, and Adams went down with a right leg injury, and it is season ending. So Kevin O'Connell said he was crushed for Adams, that they're going to miss him. The early testing didn't look good. Now it is confirmed that Jamal Adams' injury this past weekend in the game against the Giants will cause him to miss the entirety of the 2026 season. So Adams was looking for a bounce back this year with Minnesota in a new spot. Of course, the former Jets, Seahawks safety spent 2024 in Tennessee and Detroit, sort of split time that season. And then last year was with the Raiders. Played all 17 games with the Raiders a season ago. Was in a new spot this year in Minnesota, but his season is over before it began. So he's got a long road of recovery ahead of him. So good luck to Jamal Adams on the road to recovery here after this injury. Okay, it is after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. On that note, Braxton has the honors. Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, so former running back Josh Williams for the Buccaneers had 8 carries for 27 yards and 1 touchdown in their 24-16 victory over the Jets in preseason game 1. Garrett Nussmeier made his debut for the Chiefs and went 13 of 19 for 98 yards and a 20-12 loss to the Rams. Barron Brown made his debut for the Saints. He went 4 catches for 53 yards and a 24-20 stunner to the Jaguars. Tommy White for the Athletics. Don't know where they're from, but there's Athletics. But he went 4 of 8 from the plate this weekend with 3 runs, 1 home run, 1 RBI as they win this series 2-1 over the Rangers. What a big weekend for Tommy White. NBA forward Trendon Watford has signed a 1-year, $2.9 million deal with the New Orleans Pelicans. He's your newest New Orleans Pelican. And Angel Reese for the Atlanta Dream puts up 15 points, 14 rebounds. What a double-double with 6 assists and an overtime loss to the Indiana Fever, 95-91. Last but not least, Flau'jae Johnson for the Seattle Storm fills his stat book with 5 points, 4 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. She may have not scored a lot, but she definitely made an impact in that game. They lose that game to the Chicago Sky, 82-80. That is all for Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home. You need dinner plans tonight. Don't cook. Just get on by Rouse's. You can walk in. They got everything for everyone, no matter what everyone may want. They got the grab and go. I love the Asian bowls. It's one of my favorite. They got sushi, grab and go. They've got the hot bar. You want, if it's fried chicken or whatever seafood options they may have, pop on into Rouse's. And, of course, all your drinks, beverages, and whatever else that you may want if you're making groceries, get on by Rouse's. 76 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach and points in between. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home. How about Trendon Watford? It was Shams who first had the report that the Pelicans, who have yet to make a single offseason roster move, finally made one. And they added former LSU Tiger Trendon Watford, who's played 5 NBA seasons. This past year was in Philadelphia, but now joining up on a 1-year, $2.9 million deal with the New Orleans Pelicans. So Trendon Watford coming back to where he played his college ball in Louisiana. All right, it's After Further Review presented by Relief Windows. SportsCenter's coming up. We'll kick off hour number 3 with Lane Kiffin next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Lane's not going to be here. We're going to play some audio from his press conference. Arco.com, 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 ARCCO. It's Arco.com for Arco Power Systems. Man, our friends at Arco do awesome work. I love singing their praises every single day. When you see their operation, you just can't help but be impressed. A multi-state operation. I mean, north to Little Rock, east to Mobile, west to San Antonio. Draw a giant circle. If you own a business anywhere in that footprint, Arco serves you. Industrial generator power. And then when you think about the manner in which when a storm comes, I mean, the National Guard has literally taken Arco employees onto their Blackhawks and flown them into disaster areas to get power back on in spots. It's crazy. ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. What happens to your business when the power goes out? Don't find out. Get a generator from Arco, Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com.